Wednesday, May 17th marked the 375th anniversary of the founding of the city of Montreal. On a day filled with celebrations, one of the events, a luncheon to commemorate the Indigenous peoples, was attended by a who's who of Montreal, provincial and national dignitaries, and KTV was there.
The outdoor veranda of Montreal City Hall was filled to capacity as Mayor Denny Cordair, along with Kahnawà and Akwesasne Grand Chiefs Joseph Tequiro Norton and Abraham Benedict, and the AFN-QL Regional Chief Ghislain Picard hosted a spectacular luncheon. Quebec Premier Philippe Couillard and Canada's Heritage Minister Mélanie Joly were among the many speakers, but the words of Kahnawà Elder Kanasohon Deer and Mayor Cordair struck a particular chord with the audience.
I cannot revisit or reinvent the past, but we surely can respect the future. And to do so, as a mayor, my first task was to make sure that we build those bridges. We had our share of grievance, we had our share of fights, but we are in the same land and we have to work together.
We have to build bridges together. That since the Great Peace in 1701, we need to recognize the past and go furthermore together. And that celebration is a new chapter. And by recognizing, you start a healing process, but you're talking about development, you're talking about hope, you're talking about the future, you're talking about inclusiveness to make sure that we are sending a message that we are one big family in the respect of nation to nation, respecting governance, respecting, the motherland, and being sure that we're all part of the solution.
Nous avons envoyé des fleurs, des roses rouges et des roses blancs. Et ça doit être ici quelque part, mais c'était avec grand succès que nous voudrions faire ce cadeau des roses. Merci.
Very effective because it brought out ministers, federal and provincial. They know what the message has been from Kahnawà all the way through. We had a good experience. We were able to hobnob, able to keep pushing our message so that we can gather things for Kahnawà. Kahnawà, with our small community, it's small, it's a nice land area. We want to ensure that for the future, we've got what we need for our kids for the future. We're not going to be here forever, but certainly as part of the council job, it is really to push forward on our agendas to ensure that our community has what it needs.
As I said, for me, I pushed the envelope a little bit. Some of the spiritual things that I shared here today hopefully had an impact on them so that when they leave this place, it affects their conscience and they say, oh, I was inspired by what was said today and I better start to rethink a little bit different because business as usual is over. If we think we're going another 100 years with the same kind of relationship, just look at the scientists and what some of the research is saying. Where are we teeter-tottering? So it's up to us, human beings, we have choices. Either we could put our best collective thinking together and make those positive changes, or we're going to suffer the consequences, and we're seeing it already with some of the recent flooding that has gone on.
I think what's so important happened today is finally an inclusion that part of the discovery of Montreal has a First Nation, an Iroquois, and a Mohawk component to it that was never told or rarely told in the past. So what I think is so exciting today is that we have a place to include the First Nation piece. There were people here when the Europeans arrived. They formed friendships, they helped each other out, and it's part of the story we need to tell more of. And so today was a recognition of that. There were lots of positive signals about what we can do, working together, building the future together. So it was a very exciting event today.
You look at the Truth and Reconciliation Commissions and the recommendations, it affects every level. It affects cities, it affects universities, high schools, churches. It affects everyone, the media. It affects everyone who's ever been involved in ignoring Ngwehungwe issues. There's no more time for ignorance. You have to push forward. And I think that's what's so important about this. It's very difficult. For instance, I work on the flag committee. It's going to be ready by September. And the history director had the nerve to ask, why were we having this meeting? And I went ballistic because I could not stand. I said I wasn't brought here to re-argue truth and reconciliation. I said, just understand that you're all burdened with recommendations, and I'm prepared to assist you through them. And we've been given a mandate, and that's what we're following right now.
Me, I think it's important to acknowledge that the city is, celebrating its 75th anniversary. But it should today especially should also serve as a reminder that not everything was perfect, in the last 4 centuries. It should also stand as maybe an opportunity for us to change from now and future years the course of history and do things right this time. And to me, that's in a way the reason behind First Nations taking part in the celebration throughout the year. I think we have a good opportunity to take a stand and to occupy that space that has been denied, to us for too long. So I think this is a good demonstration today, especially to have included on the day of the founding of the city a special tribute to First Nations or Indigenous peoples. It was the right thing to do.
Well, in terms of why we're here and what can we achieve from this, I think it's time we all got attention on our history. And that's what I focused on, our history. And we like the way we are. We've got a personality to be fighters. And so the minute you say, well, why are you calling us bon adversaire? Why did you say good opponent is what we like? Well, we do like that. Look at our game of lacrosse. We don't like lacrosse games that are walkovers. We want somebody equally with endurance. We want to be able to say, that was a good game. It went into 3 overtimes. If you remember that game with the Iroquois Nationals and Team Canada, anyone could have won. If there had been another overtime, we would have won that one. So for me, it encourages their knowledge because, reconciliation is about understanding each other, understanding our history. It's not just something that's been written in history books. So reconciliation, we can have curriculum changed, just like the Irish did it. The Irish got a curriculum change, but it took them years. Now with this open door, let's move forward to ensure that the curriculum on history changes so that people recognize the contributions of Kahnawà specifically.